SIUE head coach Sean Lyons, ninth season with the team. His team picked sixth in the preseason poll. They did get a first place vote that we're going to ask him about in just a second. But coach, just some general thoughts on you and the Cougars entering this season.
I think we're pretty excited, and I know that the guys obviously are excited to get things kicked off and going. We feel like we got a really good mix of returners that have quite a bit of experience in OVC play and college baseball, mixed in with some impact new guys that I think are have got the guys feeling pretty optimistic going into the year.
You know, Other people have said this, but we do a preseason poll to create some content. So where people picked it doesn't really matter. But a couple coaches earlier said, SIUE is definitely a team to watch. So tell us why going into this season, like why do you think your team is in a good position to have a good season?
Well, I think part of it is we do return a pretty good uh, group of guys offensively that have got a lot of at bats, but yet are younger. Some juniors that have played 2 years, freshmen and sophomores. We get back Kyle Ratliff, who's a guy that's going to be in the middle of the order, who got hurt in the first game last year, which was a huge blow to us. We also get Spencer Stearns back, who was one of our weekend guys last year, but never pitched in conference play due to injury. So we get some guys back. We have some younger guys, and well, not younger anymore, but like Garrett Helsel, who came back last year as a sophomore and finished the year really, really strong and had a great summer out in the Cape and has gotten a lot of confidence. Chase Bloomer had a great summer and he's come back to campus, throughout the fall and throughout the off season is really you see him gaining the confidence that you've always asked out of him. And I think those guys have really, if you don't want to call it buzz, but they feel the excitement going on right now and feel good going into the year.
Where we are now in college athletics and rosters turn over a lot. What's that say to have, do you like building with some younger guys who've stuck around? I mean, everybody's always going to get some JUCO players and you're going to have some portal players, but is there a philosophy you like best on try to how to build a team?
I think you wake up every morning and it's a new day when it comes to how you're going to attack the ever-changing world that we're in NCAA recruiting. But personally, I want to develop players. We like to bring in a fair amount of freshmen and try to develop those players over the years so that you can get into a year like this where you've had guys that have played and got a lot of at-bats or pitched a lot of innings as young players, and now they become juniors and get some of that experience. We've had success in developing some guys to get opportunities to play professional baseball, and we've lost some under juniors the last 3 years, that all had eligibility to come back, but they were very fortunate. Awesome for them to get an opportunity to play some professional baseball. But when you get back to the original question, I think that's how you really build a culture within your program, is having guys that are here, they understand what the expectations are, and then can teach that to the newcomers, whether they're transfers or transfer portal guys. You have a large group of, you know, guys that, hey, this is how we do things here. And I think going into this year, we've kind of got that nucleus that understands that and has been preaching that.
If you had to pick a strength for your team on February 6th, what is it today? And do you think that's still going to be your strength on May 6th?
Well, that's a tough one, a little bit. I mean, I think really our strength probably right now is going to be our lineup. Just the fact we got guys like Chase Bloomer, Ryan Nedved, Kyle Ratliff, Ethan Willoughby that have all kind of been here, done that, and they're kind of our core on the offensive side. I've been really impressed though on the mound. We have some younger guys that are going to really it's going to be a little bit of figure it out here, young on the mound, but we have some good experience in the bullpen, at least the way we're going to start out with Kyle Ottmer and a couple transfers and, a couple young men by the name of Zach Duenas and Tyler Davis that they've really shown the ability to have some quality stuff at the back end. And so it's a good mix, but I do think offensively that is probably going into the season our strength.
SEMO was talking earlier about building their pitching staff, and he sort of said backwards, like getting their closers and coming to their starters. Like when you're building your pitching staff, what are you looking for, and like what is your mix of man, if I had three frontline guys, or do I need some more middle relievers, that closer guy? How do you want to do
I think Andy's really touching on something right there, and in the perfect world, you can do that. But I think as I've been in the league and you've heard other coaches talk about how deep, and it's a challenge every week. It doesn't matter who you're playing. It's a fist fight, and getting into the later innings, you got to make sure you have people that you can trust. And that's something we're trying out a little bit. I mean, we're going to likely go pretty young on our starting pitching, but have some veteran guys at the back end that you feel like when you hand them the ball, they're like, I've been here, I've done this. This is nothing new to me. And that should give the team and those guys some confidence as we do that.
Do you think the league is an offensive league again this year? Do you think it could? And I know we don't a lot of unknowns on teams. Or do you think it maybe more pitching, or is it balanced? And that may have changed in your 8 other years in this league. On sometimes we're hitting, sometimes we're pitching, sometimes it's fielding. I don't know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, it's that is a tough question to answer because you don't really know who has who and what what it's all going to look like. And I don't think um, that necessarily the league is as offensive as it was maybe 5 or 6 years ago. Whether that's the weather, those kind of things. The league has not necessarily put up the gaudy offensive numbers that maybe they had in the past, but I think that does attribute to some of the arms that we have and some of the talent, in the league. And as you look at players to watch, the list that came out, you got quite a few pitchers on there. And usually to me, my experience, it's always offensive player after offensive player. And I think it goes to show that teams have a lot of confidence in guys that they're going to have on the mound. So it's going to be exciting when we get there. Obviously everybody has like 5 non-conference weekends before we get into OBC play. But I'm excited for the league play as we get into it this year.
I want to ask you about your schedule. You're gonna, be in Mobile next weekend to start off. And Dallas Baptist, who's been really good the last couple of years, you're gonna play them later. Just what it took to put together this schedule.
Yeah, I always I kind of have the philosophy I want to have our guys to have some great experiences, when they're playing. And we got down at South Alabama, so which I think will be a good little test. We kind of talk about this is like a little mini regional. You got 4 teams there, and kind of battle it out and see how that goes. And obviously, you mentioned going to Dallas Baptist. That's a relationship I had from my days when I was coaching in the Missouri Valley with Dan Hefner and DBU and whatnot. But a great environment. Great place to play. Obviously going to be a challenge for anybody that goes in there to play, and they've got a really good ball club. And then we try to mix and match some different mid-major teams to play out, getting ready for league play. And it's always a challenging schedule, but I think our guys are tested and ready to go once we get into conference.
One more, and we'll let you go. I asked this of a coach earlier. There's been like a lot of rule changes, like instant replay, you pitch clocks. We're doing double first base now. I don't need anything specific on that, but has there been anything that's been you think has been really impactful the last 4 or 5 years that has really helped college baseball one way or the other?
I do think the use of replay and having that as a tool to just make sure we're getting calls right and not having the feeling of questioning whether this call impacted the outcome of a game and whatnot. I think that has been a big plus. And I think as teams and facilities have gotten kind of changed locations of some of the cameras and whatnot and improved um, the views and that thing. I think that's been the big one that has really had a general impact for the positive. And I think the places, honestly, and you didn't even mention it, some of the facilities and whatnot that have gotten the use of TrackMan to help umpires in developing strike zone. So I feel like across the league, our strike zones have been more and more consistent, which is definitely, I think, improved the experience for our players and for the teams competitively.
Well, Coach, appreciate your time this morning, and just best of luck to you and the Cougars all season long.
Well, I appreciate it, and hopefully, I look forward to seeing everybody as we get out there. And good luck to all the other OVC schools.